I'll be perfectly honest. I don't trust NFTs. Not in their current form, anyway. OpenSea, the largest NFT platform in the world, has lost 99% of its trading volume in 90 days. 99%. Earlier this year, one of the most famous NFTs in the world, Jack Dorsey's first tweet, expected a resale price of $50 million. It was originally purchased for $2.9 million. Its highest bid was slightly less than the desired $50 million. It fetched a few $1,000s. The owner ultimately withdrew the offer to sell, disgraced and humiliated. While I do believe in NFT technology long term, I think there's considerable evidence that an NFT bubble is formed. My next guest, Roshni Cox, will help us shed some light on the current state of the NFT market. Roshni, welcome to the Daily Drop.
Hi, Bobby. How are you?
I'm great, but I don't know if we can say the same thing about the NFT market. But let's start at the beginning, okay? So how did the NFT market get so popular?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Bobby. I think there's a number of reasons where the NFT market, we saw tremendous growth last year. I'd say the financial markets were reeling, and crypto sort of found its way in pop culture, and we started to see a ton of retailers across the world pay attention to it. I think, when you think about collectibles, which all of us have engaged in collectibles our whole life, sports collectibles, memorabilia, it's really this digitalizing of those collectibles, which is what the NFTs are.
Look, I think that's a pretty good overview, right? So the NFT market really did explode during the pandemic. And I mean, nobody exploded more than the Bored Apes franchise. They really came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And now they're everywhere. Although they really have lost, 75% of their value, even the sort of like lauded Bored Apes. Are the Bored Apes sustainable? Is that franchise sustainable?
I mean, I think that's entirely up to the community. I mean, the community is really the ones that can determine the value. And if they still see value, then I think they're going to hold their high prices. But I do think that we're just fundamentally shifting away from just digital collectibles in general and into more of utility. And so I think what you are even seeing with the Bored Apes is they started as just JPEG static images at very high prices, but they're starting to infiltrate into music and to, brick and mortar restaurants. And I think that's what we're going to see with new projects as blockchain technology allows for that.
And that's a perfect segue to my next question, right? Because speaking of utility, do you think that the NFT market pivoted to utility? Because that's everybody's talking about utility. That wasn't the conversation at the beginning. It is now. But do you think that happened once people started really paying attention to the NFT market?
Well, I do think that, the early phases of NFT sales was really just focused around price speculation. So it was just, a lot of hype. People were jumping in, buying, selling. Whereas, I think to be able to hit the mainstream market, you need more than just price. You need to be able to feel a tangible benefit, a tangible value. And so I think that, as utility, you're seeing use cases of utility is going to help with that more mainstream adoption.
And we're going to get into the latest reports about trading volume and Jack Dorsey and all this stuff. But do you think that there was a sort of seminal moment when the NFT market pivoted? There was an inflection point where people were like, because NFTs at some point were like, oh my God, NFTs, everything's coming up NFT. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of turned into like, yeah, but what are they really?
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, for the last year, you've seen this rise in NFTs. And, early on, you had sort of the early adopters jumping in. I think the NBA did a good job by jumping in with Dapper Labs, and they helped, bring some, mainstream conversation around NFTs, some of these other projects like CryptoPunks, Bored Apes. And I think that, again, just like any technology is evolving. And so, there's going to be the early adopters that jump in and, are causing some of the conversation, and then it pauses and it has to grow and it has to educate the mainstream population. And I think that's where we are. We're at that inflection phase now of just education and just making people understand and helping them understand that it's really just a digitalizing of collectibles that we're all used to. It's just that you now have to have a wallet and you have to buy, a specific currency. So again, it goes back to us who are in Web3 to educate the market.
Look, I think that is a brilliant analysis. We're going to get into it after the break, but trading volumes are down 99%, and this is something that we definitely need to talk about. And we're gonna talk about it when we get back from break on the Daily Drop.
Awesome.